All right, so today we're going to talk about essence versus persona. And for many of you, that may be new, that may be old, it may be a whole variety of experiences of what I mean by essence versus persona. But the basic premise, we've been sold a belief passed down through the ages that, based on scripture, that the natural man is an enemy to God. Now, upon searching further, I actually believe that to be true, although I resisted that for a long time. But I feel like I and many others have misinterpreted what it means by the natural man. And what does it mean, natural man, enemy to God? So let me explain this a little bit. The natural man I would take as the unconscious man, the man who is man, woman, person who is responding from a conditioned pattern, responding from ego, responding from, not from their essence, responding from persona, speaking of essence and personas. So the man who has not paid attention, he has not woken up, he or she who is not paying attention and being deliberate about their actions, about their choices, and is operating from a place of ego and persona, is, it could be said, is an enemy to God. So what does that mean? Because I don't know that God actually has enemies. So what would the essence of that message mean? I think it would mean, when we're stuck in our conditioned patterns, we're not likely to be aligned with God. We're not going to choose love. We're not going to choose integrity. We're going to choose an egoic reaction to whatever happens within our world. And so the power and blessing of this, of learning the difference between essence and personas, is that we start to recognize who are we really at the core. And there, when we took the teaching that I just said, and when I took it as man, at the core of me, I'm a piece of shit. It's this way it's often taken. If the natural man is an enemy to God, then, the core of me is broken. Well, I don't take it that way. I don't believe it was meant that way. And when I did think that it was meant that way, I was like, screw that. But what if what it meant is what I just said, that the untrained, the socially conditioned, the default patterns that were programmed into us, when we operate from default patterns and programming, then we're not aligned. We're not aligned with the highest and best. But when we can get beyond the personas and get to the essence, at the root of who we are is actually this beautiful, beautiful being, this essence, this perfection, and within each of us, in that essence, lies the answers to everything within our world. So when they say all the answers are within you, those answers are found in the essence of who we are, that peace within us that is connected with all that is, that peace within us that is connected with God, with Mother Earth, with nature, with the universe, and with all other beings. And so knowing the difference between those two things, I find to be very key and very critical, to realize that we're not fundamentally flawed, that we're not fundamentally broken, jerks that are, pieces of crap that are enemies to God, but rather, there's personas that can be destructive and lead us away from goodness. So let's dive into what do these personas look like? What do I mean by personas? I'm going to start demonstrating this by sharing a handout called The 9 Pathways to Essence. So go ahead and take a look at this. Zoom in, take your time, pause the video if you need, take a good look at this. So if we start here and you follow my cursor, if you look at right here, it says number 1, personas. And then if you go to the top, it says yourselves that get you positive recognition, right? So layer 1 of persona, things happen. And if you think of the external stimulus, clear my throat. If you think of the external stimulus of anything that could happen in our world, a person calls us names, or we get caught in traffic, or we lose money, or a whole number of things that can happen that can be frustrating and challenging. And so when those things happen, if you think, if we start operating from our core, from the beauty, the most beautiful version of who we are, at the core of who we are, then things happen magically. This is where ease and flow take place. When I talk about the 4 stages of life, and the 4th one being life happens through me, or God expresses through me, that happens from being in a space of essence. That's all about the state of being that you're embodying. But when we're stuck in our reactionary patterns, that every time something happens, we have to react this way, feel this way, act that way, do this, do that, and we take everything personal. We don't feel lovable. We feel fundamentally flawed. We feel like we're not enough. We feel like something's wrong with us. All these other experiences that happen as a result of this one thing. And so accessing that essence becomes key, and knowing how to access that and live from that place is what determines how prosperous, how easeful, how much ease and grace we get to enjoy in our lives. And so mastering the art of shifting to essence out of persona becomes key. So if you look, when this first line says, yourselves that get you positive recognition. So maybe, I'm a hero. Maybe I'm a nice guy. Maybe I'm a know-it-all. Maybe I'm a smarty pants. Maybe I've got, cool answers. Maybe I'm a good student. Maybe, I'm a people pleaser, right? So if we look at what personas do you have, do I have, do we have, that give us positive recognition? That when we're in that persona, people acknowledge us, they appreciate us, it gives us positive attention. So we typically go to those personas first in life. We start off there because those are the ones that have gotten us the greatest amount of positive recognition in the past. But if you go one layer deeper, what we discover is that when those personas that give us positive recognition don't work, then we tend to go to the secondary personas. And if you look at this, it says, yourselves that come forth when you are pressured, stressed, or threatened. So invite you to take a few moments to identify these ones. Hopefully you took a few moments. If you didn't, pause the video, take a few moments and identify what positive personas have you had. Have you been a nice guy? Have you been, conflict avoider? Have you been a perfectionist? Have you been a teacher's pet? What personas have you embodied that have given you lots of positive recognition? Maybe a rule keeper, playing by all the rules, doing all the right things, being well behaved, what a good student, whatever it is. What have been the positive personas the personas that you've embodied for survival? Because every persona is not who you really are. It's more like a mask. It's more like a personality trait or a characteristic that you took on that has helped you survive. So you came into a world trying to discover who you are, and we're going deeper into who are you really? Beyond the personas that you've developed for survival, who are you at the core of who you are? Who are you at your essence? Who are you at your best? Beyond other people's reactions, your true essential expression beyond anybody or anything else. So first layer, the personas that get you positive recognition. Second layer, the parts of you that come forth when you're pressured, stressed, or threatened. So do you get violent? Do you get loud? Do you get depressed? Do you want to give up? Do you go into victim mode? Do you go into villain mode? Are you, get stuck you get frozen? These personas typically come as a result of a drift. So you showed up in a positive persona, didn't get the response you wanted, and so you fall into the next one. So a common here would be to show up as the hero, try to save somebody, and then when that doesn't work, then get all upset and then actually turn into the villain and start attacking them. So what personas, when you try on layer one, what all personas do you do that give you positive recognition? And when you try on layer two, secondary personas, which ones do you do when shit gets tough? when things are, in pressure situations, or when persona number one fails, what do you fall into? So my go-to tendency is the layer number one to be a hero, layer number two to be a villain, which is rooted in victimhood, but will be demonstrated through what appears and feels like villainous actions and ways of being. So then if you look below that, you go a layer deeper. Then some are, it says, your feelings and inner experiences. Some are core feelings and experiences. Some are jackets, and some are not even yours. So as we go deeper, we have a persona that gets us positive attention. When that don't work, we pull out ones that are more destructive and pushy and dominating to still try to get our way. And when that doesn't work, we'll tend to start having feelings and experiences. And the question we get to look at there is are these my feelings? Or is this just something that I've been, a woman might feel like she hates men. Well, maybe that's not even hers. Maybe it's just stuff that her mom told her whole life, right? Maybe it was her mom's. Maybe it's ancestral, right? Or maybe, I'm wearing feelings that are not actual core feelings. Maybe they're more, vague. Maybe they're projections. Maybe they're attacks or stories. So getting clear and really being with our feelings to know the difference between our core feelings and our stories, right? And knowing which feelings are ours and which aren't even ours. Like they're someone else's. They're not even ours to deal with. They're not even ours to keep claiming or defending. So connecting with those. And then if you go the layer deeper, you come into what you see here, your essence. And it's also described as pure consciousness. And it's also described as who you are at the deepest level. So I invite you all right now, pause the video. If you're watching the recording, just pause the video. If you're on live, just take a moment and breathe. Recognize those personas that give you positive recognition. Recognize those personas that you fall into when those first ones don't work. Recognize what core feelings and sensations you notice in your body right now. And then recognize from us, and breath is key. Just receiving my words right now without actually breathing deeply and being deeply present within and going within yourself isn't going to give you the experience that's available to you here. So really be willing and open and committed to breathing and going within. What does it feel like to connect with the pure consciousness within you, at the heart of your being, at the essence of who you really are? The deepest places, the most valuable places, the most loving and knowing and intelligent and connected spaces within you. What do those spaces feel like? What's the quality of that essence of who you are? And while you're breathing, get curious. Who are you? And you may ask yourself, actually ask the question, who am I at the deepest level? Just be in that. Don't try to figure it out. Just ask it out loud or in your mind. Who am I at the deepest level of my being? And it may not be in words. It may not be a description. It may be a feeling or an experience. See what you notice. Whatever comes up, it may be in words. Just ask the question with true curiosity and wonder. Who am I at the deepest level of my being? Are you love? Are you truth? Are you goodness? Are you intelligent? Are you kind? Are you thoughtful? Are you prosperous, even though you maybe don't always feel prosperous on the outside? Who are you at the deepest core of your being? Be sure to stay with your breath. Breathe deeply and allow your breath to guide you as you ponder these things. What are your primary personas? What are your secondary personas? What core feelings and inner experiences do you notice around this? What is the purest version of your essence? Where and what is the qualities of your purest consciousness? The oneness within you. Who are you at the deepest level? All right, from here, let's begin to look at the 9 pathways. So it's listed off from left to right in order: manifestation, responsibility, love, grounding, presencing, magnification, breathing, moving, and communication. Very important words, concepts, skills, techniques, principles, processes in each one of those words. So manifestation, who are we at essence? Well, the reason why that's so important is that we're creators. And when we're manifesting, we're creating. We're aligning with our creative nature. And when we're in integrity with ourself and our truest essence, our truest nature, because integrity means to be aligned with one's true nature, then we must be in our essence. And from our essence, we automatically manifest and attract to us. And through manifestation, we access essence. So getting clear on who you are, why you're here, what you want, and aligning your life to manifest and attract to you those things helps you be in your essence. Next one, responsibility. Responsibility, not about blame, but about actual responsibility, the ability to respond. So when we walk around living life as a victim, we have no power. We hand over all our power to everything and everybody outside of us, and we don't have any ability to change our circumstances. So taking 100% responsibility becomes absolutely key to accessing our essence and our true creative power to make a change and make a difference. Next one is love. Loving what is. Loving whatever arises. Loving ourselves. Loving our experience. You know, Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. He also said, love your enemy. Right? So can we love our challenges and appreciate them for the gifts they bring? Can we love our feelings, our pain, our human experience? Love the challenge and the struggle and the learning opportunity and the gift. So what can you do right now if you pick, you know, and a good way to try these things on is not just me giving information, but at the bottom you'll see it says issues, concerns, and problems. That's just giving you an opportunity to try some of those on. So if you picked an issue, a concern, or a problem, and you said, okay, what can I do to manifest creating this to be the way I want it to be? And with responsibility, okay, taking this issue, this concern, or this problem, what can I do to take responsibility for why this is here and what I can learn from it and what I can do about it? And if you were to apply love to the scenario, you say, what issue, concern, or problem do I want to deal with or address or change? Say, okay, what can I love about this? What can I love about this experience? What can I love about myself in the process of this experience? What can I love and appreciate and acknowledge about myself, about life, about God, about this experience? Right? Key to love yourself and love your experience is a key shift move to essence. Grounding. What does this mean? This means getting grounded. So when we're lost in the ethers, we're lost in our head, we're disconnected, we're not in our hearts, we're not in our bodies, we're not connected to the deepest essence within ourselves, then we ground. So I invited, before starting this recording, I invited the live participants to breathe and to scan their bodies. And I often invite people to scan their bodies and notice what sensations are happening in their body, because that brings us to the present moment. If you look at these two, grounding and presencing, Grounding and presencing go hand in hand. Grounding gets me connected with the earth, gets me connected with my body, gets me connected with physical things. You know, back in the day, the taller houses in town belonged to the richer people because they could afford bigger houses, and they happened to get struck by lightning a lot. And so people made up the story that that was because that God hated rich people and money. What they later found out is they just needed to pound a grounding rod into the earth to have the house be grounded to the earth so that it was less likely, much less likely to be struck by lightning. And so same thing for us. If you want to not get in accidents, you don't want to get injured, you don't want to keep creating drama and chaos, get grounded. Walk barefoot on the earth. Lay your skin on the earth. Utilize the elements, earth, air, fire, water, all grounding elements. They're all part of the physical earthly experience. We have different parts of ourselves, our spirit self and our body self. So your energetic self and your physical self. At the end of the day, it's all energy. But it's important that we connect with the groundedness to keep ourselves in physical presence. And the next one is presence. So how do we presence ourselves? Many times I'll have people scan their body and notice what sensations do they notice in their body. I'll have people breathe, you know, because when I'm not present, I'm either in the future or the past. And I've not got no power in the future or the past. I only have the ability to change my life and change the results and the outcomes in the present moment. So if I'm not present, I can't do anything. I have no power in the future or the past. All I can do is worry that the things from the past will happen again in the future. So you can be obsessing and worrying about the future or the past, or you can be right here, right now. And if you notice, the truth is in every right here, right now, we have every single thing that we need. If you're here and you're alive and you're watching this, no matter what your circumstances, if you've just had a fight with your lover, if you're scared about money, no matter what the scenario is, right here, right now, you have everything that you need to be alive, to be right here, right now. So if you just breathe, scan your body, notice what sensations are happening in your body, and be right here. Focus on the breath, focus on the body, focus on the sensations, focus on authenticity, focus on connection. Drop the future, drop the past, drop the stories, drop the projections, drop the need to control, and be right here, right now. Many times you can presence yourself by speaking to what is. Hey, how you doing? I'm fine. Well, that's not presencing. To presence yourself would be to be real about what's going on. Yeah, I'm here. I'm excited to be here. And I notice heaviness in my chest, or whatever the case may be. That's bringing all of you to the table, to the present moment with whoever it is that's there with you. So presencing yourself. Magnification. Magnification is, sometimes we feel upset, we feel dramatic, we feel victimized. And if we will, most of the time we minimize those things. But the problem with minimizing our feelings, minimizing our judgments, minimizing our stories is that they stay stuck. Instead of moving them, they just stay right there, stuck in an unhealthy and unfriendly way. But when we magnify them, when we'll just exaggerate and totally go into our victim story consciously for a brief moment, it gets so silly and ridiculous, there's no way we can continue to hold it. So magnification. It's just exaggerating and dramatizing our stories, our reactions, our feelings, our personas, etc. Powerful, powerful tool. Works every time. Okay, breathing. We talked about this at the beginning. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Breath. And the next one, movement. I was going to say moving. And so breathing and moving are hand in hand for me. Right? So if you breathe and you move, your body posture locks in your mindset, your attitude, your experience, your state of being. And so breathing is the first thing I go to. Anytime, any trigger, anything, not just triggers, even when I'm doing amazing. When I'm doing amazing, I want to breathe to integrate that amazingness, to allow that to reset my thermostat and to feel even more joy. When I'm feeling frustrated or stifled or suppressed or controlled or whatever, again, breathe to release and to move through that as quickly and effortlessly as possible from a state of ease and grace, so that I can step into that ease and flow that allows for magic to happen. So breathing, moving your body, switching up your body posture, getting creative with your movement and your joints, because when you move your body posture, it switches your attitude, switches your energy flow. So breathing and moving. And last but not least, communication. Communication is one of the fastest ways when we communicate authentically and unarguably, and we drop the stories, we drop the blame, we drop the personas, and we speak from our heart. We speak from our truth and our heart of hearts, our truth of truths. And we express in a way that doesn't blame, it doesn't attack, it doesn't criticize, it takes responsibility. And it speaks from our heart, our true core feelings, our true core desires and wants. Beyond our stories, beyond our conditioned responses, our conditioned patterns, all those things, when we can communicate in that way, it ends arguments, it brings joy. It's one of the most powerful shift moves from contraction and frustration to ease and flow, is simply to communicate unarguably. All right. So take a few deep breaths. Repeat after me. I am not my stories. I am not my beliefs. I am not other people's feelings, stories, or beliefs. I am not my mom. I'm not my dad. I'm not my pastor. I'm not my community. I am me. I have my own unique expression. I am not my body. I am not my weakness. I'm not my limitations. Those things are not my essence. They are not my core. They are not the truth of who I am at the core of who I am. They're simply outer layers of jackets, of clothing, of masks, of personas that I've been wearing to survive in this world. So continue to breathe into that, feel into that, notice what you notice. And now I'm going to have you try on a little mid test, or what do they call it? A quiz. So try this on. Write down your answers, find a way to take notes, get ready. So the purpose of this practice is to distinguish creative essence from the personas/roles that we've learned for survival. Here we learn to feel and appreciate essence and to engage with roles playfully so we can use them when necessary and release them when we choose. So here's the deal with personas. When people first learn about personas, they think we need to get rid of personas. And the truth is, we're not trying to get rid of personas. We simply want to not have them controlling us, to loosen their grip on us. So when we try to get rid of ego, it digs its heels in. When we try to get rid of personas, it never happens, and it actually locks us into a persona. It's like a self-fixing persona, right? So there's nothing to fix. We're not trying to get rid of personas. We are embracing personas. We are learning how to, if it was a bus full of, my perfectionist and my know-it-all and my rebel and all of my personas, it's not about kicking anyone off the bus. It's about being wise about who to have drive when. Or if we were speaking on stage or leading something, it'd be about who do I most want in charge at this time? Do I want the rebel to take over at will, or do I want to be at choice about when the rebel takes over? Do I want, the angry one, or the super smart one, or the know-it-all, or the perfectionist? There's times that I want those things, and there's times that I don't. So being clear and accepting and embracing all those aspects of self, but being wise about when we choose to utilize them. All right, so this says, mastery with a partner, and while using the yes breath, rate yourself in the areas below. Those who feel at home in essence, for example, who they really are, express the following qualities and behaviors. So take notes, breathe, and really check in and get an authentic answer on each one of these as I read them. So number 1, I don't take myself very seriously. I don't take myself very seriously. Rate yourself from a scale of 1 to 10. Like, I totally take myself way too seriously, or I don't take myself seriously at all. Where do you fall? Right? And so what this means is, when we're talking about personas, anytime you're like, I'm serious, or this is serious, or this isn't funny, anytime you're saying that, you're in persona. Okay, the next one. I remain connected with my deepest self even when I'm engaging in unfamiliar roles. So when you get on stage, do you forget who you are? So consider the difference of, you're in the shower and no one's around and you're singing your heart out and it actually sounds pretty good. And, you actually kind of enjoy it. You're having fun, you're enjoying yourself, but then boom, you find yourself in front of a stage of people. You're up on stage in front of a big group of people. Are you still connected with that essence? Are you still able to play and dance and sing and relax and move and sit and just be you? Or do you all of a sudden have all these rules about how you need to sit, how you need to stand, how you need to behave, how you need to act? So I remain connected with my deepest self even when I'm engaging in unfamiliar roles. Can you just get up and say, yeah, I'm a little nervous, I'm not used to this, but hey, anyway, let's rock and roll? Or do you fall apart and lose track of who you are altogether? The next one, my friends say I have an infectious sense of humor. Are you funny? Are you lighthearted? Are you enjoyable to be around? Or are you always serious? Figuring it out, fixing, solving, taking responsibility. Right? So my friends say I have an infectious sense of humor. Rate yourself 0 to 10. Next one, I know that a great way to invent something, I'm going to start over. I know that a great way to invent something new is to play with all the aspects of the situation. So do you tend to just be like, no, this is how it is. Of course I'm pissed off. Of course I'm reacting this way. Or do you go, well, what else is possible? What am I believing that's not serving me? Like, how curious do you tend to act or be? Or do you tend to just defend and justify and hold to your rigid beliefs and stories and experiences? So again, I know that a great way to invent something new is to play with all the aspects of the situation. Rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. The next one, I have befriended and loved both my successful and my troublesome roles, welcoming them into my wholeness. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much have you befriended both your personas that give you positive attention and your darkness, and your personas that don't work so well? Have you befriended all aspects of yourself. So it says, I have befriended and loved my successful and troublesome roles, welcoming them into my wholeness. See, the way personas work is it's like we were this perfect angel of a spirit. Just picture my baby that was just born. So precious. No stories, no doubts, no fears, no trying to please anybody, no worrying about what anybody thinks of them, no nothing. Just being, just him. No questions, no fear of survival, no worry about money, no nothing. Just being. Just is. Right? And Jesus talked to us about be like unto the child. Right? So how much more can we get in our essence? How much can we let go of all our stories, our personas, our need to fit in, to be liked, to be accepted? So I have befriended and loved my successful and troublesome roles, welcoming them into my wholeness. So again, it's like we were characters in a play. We came in as a perfect angel. We decided to play these characters in this play, but we've been playing those characters for so long, we've forgotten who we really are, and we now believe that we're the characters versus the person that we started off who was just playing the characters. Right? So that's how we want to loosen the grip. We don't want the personas. We don't want to believe that the personas are us. We just want to know that they're available to help us as needed. They're helpers. They're masks. They're aspects of self, but they're not self. They're not, they're aspects of self, but they're not all the totality of who we are. Not trying to get rid of them, not trying to fix them, not judging or pushing them away. We're just looking at them and loosening the grip of the control they have on us by being conscious versus having them run unconsciously in the background. So the next one, I recognize my fear pattern and know how to shift into a flow of well-being. So do you recognize when you go into your fight or flight response? Do you recognize the drift? Does it just take you over? Or are you committed to shifting? Are you able to catch the drift right away and not be addicted to the drama? Are you able to breathe and move and shift and use all the shift moves we've discussed, all the pathways to essence we discussed earlier in this call, to shift into that state of ease and flow and well-being? So I recognize my fear pattern and know how to shift into a flow of well-being. Scale of 0 to 10. Next one, I appreciate other people when they notice that I'm stuck in one of my familiar roles. When someone gives you feedback, do you take it personal and argue and defend and attack and make it all that kind of stuff? Or do you go, wow, thank you for the feedback. Yeah, I am in persona. I don't want to be in persona. Thanks for pointing that out. So scale of 0 to 10, I appreciate other people when they notice I'm stuck in one of my familiar roles. Next one, I inquire into the feelings and beliefs that my personas may be concealing. Right? So what feeling or belief or story or thought process or fear is my persona trying to cover up? What am I trying to hide? What's really happening beneath the surface? So I inquire into the feelings and beliefs that my persona may be concealing. Scale of 0 to 10. Rank yourself on average of how you react in relation to that. The next one, I take full responsibility for expressing my essence in the world in ways that benefit everyone. I take full responsibility for expressing my essence in the world in ways that benefit everyone. Scale of 0 to 10. I take full responsibility for expressing my essence in the world in ways that benefit everyone. Scale of 0 to 10. And last but not least, I choose celebrating essence over being right and making others wrong. Right? So would you rather be happy and rich, Would you rather be right and make others wrong? Okay, so some action steps you can do to help with all of this is once a month or on a regularly scheduled interval, just come back and retake this test and see where are you at. And maybe make some notes, like 1 or 2 things that you've noticed and learned in the process as you evolve and ascend out of the conditioned state. And then number 2, use the persona interview to get better acquainted with one of your unsatisfying personas. So persona interviews is something that we'll do. I don't know if we'll do it in this training series. It's a powerful process. But I like to facilitate that live. So we'll catch that at one of the events or in one of our one-on-one sessions or something like that. Okay, so last but not least for this training is to identify your personas. And the way this one works, you can draw some circles on a paper. You can find this handout somewhere in the group. You can reach out and ask someone on the team for a copy of this handout or whatever gets to happen. But on the top half of the circle, you identify a persona. So if it's a rebel, if it's a know-it-all, if it's an Eeyore, if it's a depressed, if it's the peacekeeper, whatever it is, recognize it and write that in the top half of the oval. On the bottom half, write down, what tribe is it from? Is it from the victim tribe, the villain tribe, or the hero tribe? So go through and identify your top 7 personas. And then after you've identified those, identify on each one. Is that a victim, villain, or hero persona? And then you'll see which tribe do you tend to hang out in the most. Do you have, 3 of your 7s? Are they victims or villains or heroes? Just to be aware of your, go-to patterns. And then if you look at the center, beneath all the personas, the essence, the purpose, the contribution, the creativity, the joy, the aliveness, that's where the magic happens. That's where the ease and flow is. That's where the creative expression is. But identifying and starting, so it's helpful to identify the personas, start loosening the grip. So take a look, be with yourself, breathe, write those personas down, identify which tribe they're in, and then start to play with them. Start to magnify them. Start to exaggerate them. And start to loosen their grip by placing awareness on them versus having them running subconsciously in the background at will. Hope you enjoyed today's training on essence versus persona. This stuff is real. This stuff is so powerful. This stuff affects every conversation and every creation of our lives. So blessings. Thank you for being here. Enjoy. Take your time to really be with these processes and apply them. And I'll see you on the next training.